بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. In this Nour Quran reflection series, we try to develop a connection with the Quran through both understanding and memorization. We go over the translation of some of the meanings of the verses, some of the Arabic word roots, and some of the lessons and reflections from the verses. We also try to develop a visual memory of the pages and explain some of the unique and similar ayahs. In this video, we will talk about the 18th quarter of the Quran, which is one quarter of Hizb 5, الربع الثامن عشر, ربع الحزب الخامس. And it starts with أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى. Okay, so this quarter starts here on the left-hand side at about 1/3 of the page, the last 1/3 of the page. And on this side here on this page, we have two ayahs, two verses. And then here on the right-hand side, there's 5 verses. And on the left-hand side, there's only 2 verses that take up about 1/3 of this page. So it's not a very long quarter. And it's called the quarter of infaq, and you will see that infaq is repeated several times here. So we have infaq 3 times and sadaqah 3 times as well. So sadaqah is mentioned here, here, and here, and infaq is here, here, and there. So that's 3 times each. Okay, so let's go over the translation of the meanings. Okay, kind speech and forgiveness are better than charity followed by injury, and Allah is free of need and forbearing. So remember that we ended the last quarter, the quarter of Tilka Rusul, talking about infaq. And in this ayah here, there was, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about infaq and talked about man and adha, which is reminders of charity, and adha, which is injury. So reminders of charity means the attitude of reminding people that you gave charity to them and mentioning it in front of people after the fact, such as saying, I gave such and such, or to expect a certain treatment from them because you feel that you did them a favor. Because remember that giving charity is doing yourself a favor and not to the people you are giving it to them or to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why the verse here ends with Allah is ghani, Allahu ghani, which means free of need. And you will see that this word is repeated here in this quarter as spending is discussed. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the owner of everything in the universe. He does not need our charity. It is us who benefit from sadaqah. Okay, so for the word roots, qawl, that's from qawala, that's saying or speech. Ma'ruf, ma'ruf is from arafa and means to recognize, and what it means is good. So what is recognized to be good. So usually the word ma'ruf is used in this context to mean what is known to be good. Wa maghfira, that's from ghafara, that's forgiveness. Khair, that's better. Min sadaqa, that's charity. Yatba'uha, from tabi'a or taba'a, that's to follow, that is followed by adha, that means injury or hurt. Wallahu ghaniyun, that's from ghanaya, that's the word for wealthy, so he's free of need. Halim, from halam, and that's forbearing. And Wallahu ghaniyun halim here is a unique ayah. This is the only form of Wallahu ghaniyun halim. The only time it comes in this form, it's only here in this ayah. O you who have believed, do not invalidate your charities with reminders of it or injury, as does one who spends his wealth only to be seen by the people and does not believe in Allah and the last day. His example is like that of a large, smooth stone upon which is dust and is hit by a downpour that leaves it bare, which means it gets rid of all of that dust, so there's nothing left on it. They are unable to keep anything of what they have earned, and Allah does not guide the disbelieving people. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, this is the 8th time of 11 here in Surah Al-Baqara. O you who have believed, la tubtilu, from batala, that means to invalidate. Sadaqatikum, your charities. Bil man, that's from manana, and that's the reminders of sadaqah. Wal-adha, again, that's hurting or injury. كالذي ينفق, so there's a parable here that is given. So an example, كالذي ينفق, from the word root nafaqa, and the verb is anfaqa, it means to spend. ما له, his money or his wealth. رئاء الناس, so رئاء, that's only to be seen by people. رئاء الناس. ولا يؤمن, and does not believe, بالله واليوم الآخر, in Allah and His last day. So here it's billahi wal yawmi and not wala, and we'll talk about this later here in this video. So Allah and His last day. فَمَثَلُهُ, his example, كَمَثَلِ صَفْوَانٍ, is similar to a smooth stone. عَلَيْهِ تُرَابٍ, on it is dust. So turab, from taraba, that's dust. فَأَصَابَهُ, from sayaba, that's to hit. So it was hit by a downpour, that's wabil. فَتَرَكَهُ, to leave or left it. صَلْدَ, that's bare. لَا يَقْدِرُونَ, from قَدَرَ, so they are unable. على شيء مما كسبوا, from what they earn, that's كسب. والله لا يهدي, it's from هدايا, means to guide. القوم الكافرين, the disbelieving people, that's from كفر. Okay. And the example of those who spend their wealth seeking means to the approval of Allah and assuring reward for themselves is like a garden on high ground, which is hit by a downpour, so it yields its fruits in double. And even if it is not hit by a downpour, then a drizzle is sufficient. And Allah of what you do is seeing. So this is the second time that we have مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ, but this time there is a waw. And remember that the first time was in the quarter of تِلْكَ الرُّسُلِ, in the end. Well, and this is يُنْفِقُون here. That's the second time that infaq is mentioned in this quarter. That's the first time, sorry. First time that يُنْفِقُون is mentioned. So وَمَثَلُ الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُون, the example of those who spend أَمْوَالَهُم, their wealth. ابتغاء, that's from بغية, means to seek. مرضات, from رضية, that's the approval of Allah. وتثبيتا, that's from ثبت, means firmness or assurance, assuring reward for themselves. من أنفسهم كمثل جنة, so it's similar to a jannah, and that's a garden. بربوة, ربوة is high ground. أصابها, from صيبة, it was hit by a wabil, which is a downpour. فآتت, from أتيا, means it gave. أكلها, that's the fruit. So it's from akala, it means to eat. So what is edible? So edible fruits. ضعفين, so twice or in double. فإن لم يصبها, and if it was not hit by a downpour, which is wabil, فطل, then a drizzle. والله بما تعملون بصير, and Allah of what you do, from عمل, بصير, it's from بصرة, means is seeing. Would one of you like to have a garden of palm trees and grapevines underneath which rivers flow, in which he has from every fruit? But he is afflicted with old age and has weak, that is immature, offspring, and it is hit by a whirlwind containing fire and is burned. Thus does Allah make clear to you His verses that you might give thought. So this here is an example of a person who worked their entire life and invested all their time and effort on something, which is this Jannah here, this garden, but it was all wasted and they found no fruit when they most needed it. Imagine that all the charity that someone gives can go in vain if they follow it up with hurting people or reminding them of the charity and the good deed. And this person, the giver, finds no reward on the day of judgment when the reward is most needed. So Allah is asking us, would one of you like to be that example? Would one of you like to be in that situation? Ayawaddu, so that's would one of you want? So this hamza here in the beginning, this means it's a question, a yes or no question. And from wadada, that's to want or to desire or to like. أحدكم, one of you, from أحد. أن تكون له جنة. Jannah is a garden. من نخيل, that's palm trees. And أعناب, that's grapevines. تجري from جريا to flow. من تحتها الأنهار underneath it. أنهار is نهر, that's the singular form is نهر, and that's a river, so أنهار is rivers. له فيها من كل الثمرات, he has in it from every ثمر. ثمرة is the fruit, so from every sort of thimar or fruits. وأصابه, he was hit, from صيبة means that he was afflicted with old age. كبر, that's from كبر, means big, and what it means here is old age. وله ذرية, that's offspring. ضعفاء, that's weak. فأصابها, it was hit by إعصار, and that's whirlwind containing نار. فيه نار, that's fire. فاحترقت, from حرقة, means it was burned. كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون. This here is the second time that this is mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah. And جنة من نخيل وأعناب, this is a unique ayah here. So كذلك يبين from بينا means he makes it clear. الله لكم الآيات, that's his verses. لعلكم تتفكرون, from فكر means to give thought. O you who have believed, spend from the good things which you have earned, and from that which we have produced for you from the earth, and do not aim toward the defective therefrom, spending from that while you would not take it yourself, except with closed eyes, and know that Allah is free of need and praiseworthy. And so what it says here is give to others what you would like to take yourself, and give in the way of Allah what Allah accepts, which is good money or lawful money. Do not give from bad money or unlawful money, or do not give what you yourself would not accept to take. يا أيها الذين آمنوا, that's the 9th time in Surah Al-Baqarah out of 11. And يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا, that's the second time here. The first one was in the quarter of تلك الرسل. أنفقوا من طيبات, and so this is the only time it's أنفقوا من طيبات, otherwise it's كلوا من طيبات in other ayahs and other surahs, but here it's أنفقوا من طيبات, so that's unique. طيبات from طيبة, that's the good. ما كسبتم, what you earned from كسب. ومما أخرجنا, from خرج means to go out, so أخرج is to produce, to cause it to come out. ومما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض, from the earth. ولا تيمموا, that's from يمم, it means to mean or to يقصد, so it means to aim towards al-khabith, that's from خبث, and that's the defective, so it's bad. منه تنفقون, from أنفق, that's to spend. ولستم بآخذي, you yourself would not take it. آخذي from أخذ, to take. إلا أن تغمضوا فيه, that's from غمض, means to close your eyes. You would only take it if your eyes are closed, which means it's something that you wouldn't accept yourself. وَعْلَمُوا from علم means know. أن الله غني, again غني, so Allah is free of need, so this is again mentioned with spending. Allah does not need what you are giving, it's for yourself, so don't give the bad things. And Hamid, it's from Hamada, it means praiseworthy. Satan threatens you with poverty and orders you to immorality, while Allah promises you forgiveness from him and bounty, and Allah is all-encompassing and knowing. So Shaitan threatens us with poverty. He whispers to us that if we spend from what we have, we will become poor. While Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling us to open our eyes to an abundant universe, to open our eyes to His fadl, to His bounty, He promises us forgiveness and bounty. As we mentioned before, the word sadaqah comes from the same word root as truthfulness and belief. And that's because when you spend in the way of Allah, you demonstrate faith and you believe that Allah will give you back more than what you spent. الشيطان يعدكم, from وعد, means he promises or he threatens you with poverty, فقر, from فقرة. وَيَأْمُرُكُمْ, and that's from amara, means he orders you. بِالْفَحْشَاء, that's from fahasha, and that's immorality. وَاللَّهُ يَعِدُكُمْ, from wa'ada, Allah orders or promises you forgiveness, maghfirah, from ghafara. Minhu وَفَضْلَ, that's from fadl, and that's bounty. وَاللَّهُ وَاسِعٌ, and that's from wasa'a, means wide or extensive. What it means here is all-encompassing. Alim, that's from alima, and knowing. So it makes you think of the abundance that Allah will give you, the abundance that He has. So don't think that you're going to be poor just because you spent from what Allah has given you. He gives wisdom to whom He wills, and whoever has been given wisdom has certainly been given much good, and none will remember except those of understanding. Yu'ti, that's from ataya, and hikmah, that's wisdom, from hakama. And what it means here is knowledge, or especially sacred knowledge. يُؤْتِي الْحِكْمَةَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ, whom he wills. وَمَنْ يُؤْتَى, again from ataya, and that's the passive form of the verb. Whoever has been given hikmah, that's wisdom. فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ, again passive form, he has been given خَيْرًا, good, كَثِيرًا, much good. وَمَا يَذَّكَّرُ, and that's from ذَكَرَ, and that's to remember. إِلَّا, except, أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ, those of understanding. That's from lababa, and that's the brain or reasoning. So ulul albab are those of understanding. So again, hikmah here and sacred knowledge are mentioned with the ayahs of infaq, because that's one of the best things that you can give, which is giving from what Allah has taught you. If you have learned something and you know you have hikmah, you have ilm, you have knowledge, then teaching it to people is one of the best things that you can spend your time, your effort, to spend on knowledge and on teaching people what benefits them. And whatever you spend of expenditures or make of vows, indeed Allah knows of it, and for the wrongdoers there are no helpers. So again, وَأَنفَقْتُمْ is mentioned here. That's the third time. وَمَا أَنفَقْتُمْ مِن نَفَقَةٍ, whatever you spend of expenditures. أَوْ نَذَرْتُمْ, from نَذَرَ, means to make a vow. مِن نَذْر, that's the same word root. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُهُ, Allah knows of it, from عَلِمَ. وَمَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ, from ظَلَمَ, that's the wrongdoers, there are no helpers. مِن أَنصَار, from نَصَرَ, there are no helpers for the wrongdoers. So Allah is watching over everything. If you disclose your charitable expenditures, they are good. But if you conceal them and give them to the poor, it is better for you. And He will remove from you some of your misdeeds thereby. And Allah with what you do is fully acquainted. In tubidu, from badaya, means to disclose or make it clear, make it obvious. As-sadaqat, so if you give in public and make people know of it, فَنِعِمَّا هِي, then it's also good. From ni'imma, from na'ima, that means it's good, because it helps people learn of what you did, and then they can also do the same thing as you did. But if you conceal it, tukhfuha, from khafiya, if you conceal them, وَتُؤْتُوهَا الْفُقَرَاء, from ataya, means to give, and fuqara, from faqara, that's poor. فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ, this is better for you. And it's better because it helps with your intention, and it helps with the dignity of the person that you're giving charity to. وَيُكَفِّرُ عَنْكُم مِّن سَيِّئَاتِكُم, this is a unique ayah here, and it's unique in that it has min. And so it has min, which means remove from you some of your misdeeds, because sadaqah will remove some of the sins that we did, but some of them, they cannot be removed by just sadaqah, because if you've taken someone's money, you can't just give charity and say that will make Allah forgive me. You have to give them back what you took from them. So some of that's why it's some of the misdeeds. Min sayyatikum. And remember here, وَيُكَفِّرُ, there's a dhamma, and a common mispronunciation of this is that people don't pronounce the dhamma. So it's وَيُكَفِّرُ عَنْكُم مِّن سَيِّئَاتِكُم, from your sins, from saya'a. والله بما تعملون, of what you do, from عمل خبير, and that's خبر, means fully acquainted. And usually خبير means that Allah knows things that we keep secret. بصير is seeing, so He knows what we've been doing that other people know of as well. Okay, so there's a unique ayah here. Wallahu ghaniyyun halim. This is the only one that is mentioned this way. You will see in Surah An-Naml, فَإِنَّ رَبِّي غَنِيٌّ كَرِيمٌ, Ibrahim لَغَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ, Luqman فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ, Taghabun وَاللَّهُ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ, and in Hajj لَهُوَ الْغَنِيُّ الْحَمِيدُ. جَنَّةٌ مِّن نَخِيلٍ وَأَعْنَابٍ. This is the only time that this is mentioned in the singular form. In other surahs, it's جَنَّاتٍ مِّن نَخِيلٍ وَأَعْنَابٍ. That's the plural form of Jannah. That's in Mu'minun and in Surah Yasin. أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم. In other surahs, it's كلوا من طيبات. Even here in Surah Al-Baqara, كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم. That's twice. And كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم, Surah Al-A'raf and Surah Taha as well. But here it's أنفقوا, so spend. Here it's eat. ويكفر عنكم من سيئاتكم. We talked about this. So it's min, so it means some of. And then the other ones one has sukun, one has a fatha. Those are in surahs Anfal and Tahrim. Okay, so here in ayah 264, the sentence billahi wal yawm al-akhir is mentioned. So it's wala yu'minu billahi wal yawm al-akhir. It means does not believe in Allah and the last day. And this does not have wala, it's only wal yawm al-akhir. Wala bil yawm al-akhir would mean neither Allah nor the last day. And we will see that billahi wal yawm al-akhir is the majority of what is mentioned in the Quran. It's almost all of them are billahi wal yawm al-akhir, with the three exceptions. There's billahi wa bil yawm al-akhir in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqara, and then there's two that have wala, which means neither nor, and those two are in Surah An-Nisa and Surah At-Tawbah, and those are the only two in the Quran that have that form. There is also the ending of this verse, وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الْكَافِرِينَ. It's interesting to know that this ending was mentioned only twice in the whole Quran. One of them is here in ayah 264 that talks about riyā, or talks about spending for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the second time was the ayah of Nasi in Surah At-Tawbah, ayah number 37. And we'll get to that inshallah when we get to Surah At-Tawbah. In the same ayah, there's لا يقدرون على شيء مما كسبوا. It means they are unable to keep anything of what they have earned. And this is similar to an ayah in Surah Ibrahim. But in Surah Ibrahim, مما كسبوا comes before على شيء. So of what they earned, of anything. And here you can remember that لا يقدرون على شيء مما كسبوا, because earning is the kind of the opposite of spending. Of course, Allah will reward it, but people think of it as the opposite of spending. So since the ayahs talk about spending, so kasabu comes in the end. But in Surah Ibrahim, it was talking about working, so earning comes before ala shay. Earning comes first. Mimma kasabu comes first. So some similarities here in this quarter. يا أيها الذين آمنوا. There was لا تبطلوا and يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا. Those are out of 11. يا أيها الذين آمنوا. ومثل الذين ينفقون. The first time was مثل الذين ينفقون. كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون. That was twice. And that's all of the similarities here in this quarter.